Hey everyone, my name is Anne-Maria Jimmy and I'm very honored to host Shed the Light with the Missionary. So today we have a very special guest joining us today. Her name is Katticaran and she's from the Melbourne West Parish. And she has done the very brave and huge task of saying yes to being Sliha daMsiha, which is also known as the Apostle of Christ. So Annie Kay, welcome. I'm very glad you could join with us tonight.
Thank you for, good to be back here actually.
Yeah, it's been a while. We usually come here to do a Marthoma Effect podcast, but because of lockdown, obviously things have slowed down a bit, but we are coming back. The lockdown's easing. So how's that been for you, slowly coming back into the normal life?
I mean, it's good. It's good to be out and actually go to Kurban in person and see all the youth in person and things like that. So it's good to be back.
And especially as we're so close to Christmas.
Yeah, it's Advent season.
Advent season.
So good to, and we have Mission Month coming up, all the exciting stuff. So yeah.
We'll be very busy and you will be hearing more about Mission Month. But we have a few questions today that I wanted to ask you. And so it'll be a really casual talk just to get to know, who you are, your whole journey and your experiences in this journey. So let's get straight into it. So the first question I want to ask you is, what inspired you to say yes to being, taking a missionary, not for 1 month or 2 months, but for a whole year?
Yeah. Look, it's like for me, it's the what's important, but it's also the who, and so I guess I'd ask answer in parts kind of thing. But what is basically I was heavily involved with the youth ministry, being in the national team and everything. I saw there's a huge need of all these the young people are in Australia or young people in general who are just thirsting, they're missing something. But we just don't have enough resources or enough people to be able to lead them to Christ. So so when this came up, the whole idea of doing mission year, I was like, okay, But then that's when the who came in. So it was it was actually our Sebastian. So Njan played a big role in helping me decide, even think about am I even the whole thing about are you holy enough, are you worthy enough to do this thing and things like that. It's I was struggling to see that,
I guess I'll go back to briefly what we were talking about. So we were talking about, quitting full-time job and how that it was just a big step for you, I guess, in terms of your career and your future path, and how, you were so involved in the national team being an assistant coordinator, but also you took the extra step, saying yes to taking up missionary. So anything else to add on to that?
No, I think having, because, very much so part of the Melbourne.
Can you just run us through your whole discernment process that you had before you said yes?
Okay, so for me, when I say discernment process, it was kind of very simple, actually. It was more that I didn't actually have set standard, writing down questions, all that kind of stuff. It was just simple as letting go and just talking to Main G every day. It was kind of you really want me to do this? You really want me to quit? I don't know. Are you sure?
Is it me?
Yeah, is it me to do this? Because I thought, I can do it. Other stuff, I'm heavily involved. That's enough, right? But it's no. It was kind of Annie, I have other plans. This is something that you need to go through to get to that.
Yeah.
So I was okay, fine. So, so that's how I kind of it was more letting go of all my expectations and kind of all the I'm someone who likes control, so it's kind of letting go of that control as well. The fact that I want to get paid every week, every fortnight from my job and all that kind of stuff. It's letting go of all that. And just
was that difficult for you?
So difficult. It was so weird. After a bit, you stop seeing that coming in and you're just
yeah.
But it was good because there was not one thing in the whole year that I really wanted that Manji didn't make happen. So he really provided.
Yeah. So in that process, was it why should I do this? And then you had a reason why, but then it was backed up with should you do this? And it was was it a bit of a process in your mind for a while that you had to, weigh in the positives and the negatives of this? Or was it just I'm going to say yes, I'm going to take that leap and say yes
Yeah.
to this.
I mean, so like, you know, when I say like let go and let God do his thing, it was kind of like that. So it was like I didn't really do a lot of like weighing up and things like that. It was just like once I was certain that he wanted me to do this, none of the other stuff mattered to me.
Yeah.
So then I just left.
So, yeah. And then was there, you know, I know because you had a few other external people that, you know, helped you and guided you, especially along this particular path, and, you know, recommended you to different, I guess, kind of preparing yourselves to say yes to this. So do you want to give us a bit more depth to that? Who was involved and what kind of stuff you did before you said yes?
Yeah, so I mean, like, one of the person that like, I mean, of course, Odinjad and my family was super, super supportive, because when I first said it, it was kind of like, 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 you know, that was there, but there was like, they were like, okay, really, like, you know, is this what you really thinking? Is it really want? And if this is what God wants you to do, then fine. But then it was also like, you know, my spiritual mentor, Father Peter. So he was kind of like helping me, you know, think about the not logistics, but like like logic. I didn't really need the answers for when I started. So that really helped as well. So, and you know, the eparchy in general, like Bishop, we were very blessed with our Bishop, who is so great, and he's always down for a chat and helping us with any doubts we have. So yeah, that was really good as well.
Okay. And then do you want to just run us through, you know, because I know you went to, before you started being a missionary, you went on your silent retreat. Yeah. So how was that? If you don't know, Annie loves to talk, would not stop talking. So how was that, you know, experience for you, just mentally kind of preparing for the year that you are, you know, we're going to begin?
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't know me, from the last like 20 minutes, you'd hear that I'm talking a lot. So it really was the first time in my life that I've been kind of forced to be silent. Yeah. But it was kind of like really needed, you know, like I think that quiet time with the main G, where you kind of reflect on things and where you at, was good. But the good thing was that, you know, I was quite nervous because I was like, I don't know how to be quiet, like, and I'm going to sleep, like, you know, because I just finished work at that time. So I was like, oh, you know, so it was more like you go in there with no expectations, because I remember having the conversation with Punjab, and it was like, like, this is not some retreat or whatever that you need to come back with all these things. This is just for you to chill with him. And that was kind of good, because it's kind of like took the pressure off. Yeah. And then just like kind of prepared. It's so weird. Like some of the things that happened there, it was good. It was like, you know, like reflective stuff. But now that I think back on it, it helped months later in the littlest thing during mission year. So, and I didn't even think that would come, you know, like some of the things that I learned, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
So
yeah, it gives you insight to it. So
okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. So I guess that was all the pre kind of stuff that you've done before. Now to like the juicy stuff. Give us your normal day-to-day life of, you know, being a missionary. Like, how does your start to end on a typical day go? Like, on a typical day? I know every day is different. Yes. So a usual day, how does that look for you?
Okay, well, these days, well, I'll give an example of like now when it's just out of lockdown, especially Victoria being in its like lockdown madness. Yeah. So now it actually starts quite early, 6 a.m. We have this thing called 6 a.m. prayer warriors. It's actually, we come together and say our liturgy of hours, which the Syro-Malabar one, which is called Sapra. And it's quite nice. It's like morning prayers with like psalms and all that kind of stuff. And it's quite like a really nice way to start your day. So we basically come together, all young people, and then we just like, we'll have like 15 to 17 minutes, you know, of Sapra. And then we have a small 5-minute Bible reflection. And then, you know, Syro-Malabar Catholics, there's nothing without intercessory prayers. Yeah. So, you know, we pray for our eparchy, all the things going on in the world, just for a couple of minutes, all up 30 minutes, we're in and out. And it's an absolute beauty of a day, start of day. And it's great. And it's like, kind of like, I'm definitely not a morning person. So it took a bit of like, you know, at the beginning, it was kind of like getting used to like, waking up. Yeah. But it's like automatically as well. I wake up and it's like, can I just sleep in? Nope, you automatically wake up. Yeah. So Sapra is the way to go. So Sapra, and then like, you know, depends on what's happening, if there's any events on in the evening or not. If there is, then I'll try to go to the Kurbana in the morning. There's one near, there's actually, so I've like mapped up all the Kurbanas in my local area, and also near Fidav's house, like which is the Chancery. So I'll be like, oh, he's 8 Kurbana 8:30. If not 9 o'clock, that's fine. And we're pretty lucky with that.
Well, we are in so many mass times available for us.
So like, you know, somewhere in there need a bit of like main G time, and then so do that. And then if I'm like usually going to work around 10:30, which is the bishop's house, and we'll usually have something that we're working on, whether it's you know, like apps that's coming up, or whether it's any events that's coming up. Right now we have the Mission Month coming up, so a lot of prep for that, and you know, like and we had like come and see and things like that, so we had a lot of back end stuff for that. So yeah, and we'll at the office we have like, you know, Bishop, we got transaction, so in Jatan and stuff like that, and we'll have lunch together. That's actually my highlight of the day. It's like we take all the business that we're doing, we'll put it all aside, we just come together and just have a bit of fellowship. And it's kind of cool because, you know, we get to come together and just talk about like all the things, and I have a lot of questions. So like, so Pidave, like, and then Pidave was like patiently sitting there like, yes, Annie. And yeah, like it's really good because it helps me in my growth as well. So yeah, and then I'll probably, I mean, depends, every day is different. Sometimes I leave around like 5, usually not, maybe like it's a bit later, and then come back, spend a bit of time at home, but usually have the evening meetings and stuff as well. So yeah,
that sounds interesting. That's pretty full on day. It's not it's not a cruisy day, but you will be built for it, I think.
Yeah, I think you get the grace. It's not like 100%, you don't have it. Like he will be like,
if you say yes, then for sure. So you mentioned, you know, some of the projects that you kind of were working on. You talked about Come and See, you talked about the Mission Month. Do you want to just give us a little, like a few of the highlights that you have worked on or are, you know, upcoming as well, which, you know, in your mission year has been the highlight?
I mean, like in terms of one of my favorite ones, it's like very close to my heart, is this thing called Spirit of Sonship. And that is actually working with kids, teens and youth from Singapore. So they reached out to us and wanted to kind of us to give a bit of faith formation for the kids and young people there. It was kind of hard at the beginning because it was like they're literally teens and youth. So we kind of like, but it was quite cool because they're like, they actually have like, you know, like the Singaporeans, like, but then they're Malayali, and then they're Syro-Malabar, but not just. So then, you know, we'd meet every fortnight, every 2 weeks kind of thing. And we'd come together, and it was so nice, but it wasn't just me doing it. Like, it's like the national team. And, you know, that's one of the things that, like you said, you know, who helped in this thing, like the whole national team, you guys all like from get-go, you always had my back. Whenever I'd be like, oh, Missionary, it's no, like, and you can't do it by yourself as well, you know, that's the whole point. You do it as a family. And so we kind of had these sessions for, it's like 1 hour, like, you know, we'll come together and then pretty chill. And by the end of it, they like, some of them messaged and was like, oh, you know, like, one of them calls me Miss. It was like, Miss, you know, like, this is really, like, thank you so much. It really helped. And like, I mean, obviously we don't do it for that, but it's like, oh, you actually paid attention. Like you know, it seemed like you don't. Like,
but you helped the faith formation of the team.
Yeah. So that was one of my like personal favorite things, that it was because it was like you grew with them in throughout the year. But one of the things I'm super excited for is Mission Month, because it's like we have 6 new missionaries that's committed for a month. You know? Also hopefully for a year.
Maybe for a year. Stay tuned.
hey, some of you guys out there, you know, if you guys want to commit for a year as well, I won't be mad about it. But you know, like, it's the fact that now they also come for supper. We start the day together. We have a meeting after. We prepare together. We pray together. Like, it's just like you're not in it like alone, and like it shows the main G's walking with us as well. So
okay, that's they all seem very, you know, interesting, and you definitely get, it's not getting you personally getting something out of it, but just seeing, I guess, you know, the faith formation happening and just the youth coming together and working together. I think it's really amazing to see as well. I guess something which will be kind of common in anyone who's even thinking about saying yes to becoming the Sliha daMsiha, saying yes to, giving up work commitments and just full-time being the missionary. It's not an easy job, and it is a pretty big task to do. And I guess having that conversation with your family can be a bit difficult for some.
Yeah.
So having that conversation with the family, how did you kind of, plan it out strategically on, how did you get them to say yes? Or, what advice would you give for other people who are considering it, but this whole, my parents will say no factor is like in the back of their mind. So what would you say to them?
One thing I'll definitely say is, like, if you are thinking like this might be something for you, like, you need to start praying, like, because if you go in with by yourself, even like, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing to be a missionary. It's a good thing to serve the church and serve Main G. But it's like, you need to start praying to see if this is for you, because if, like, when you do it with him, he makes it so much easier. Like, it's like you pray about it, like, and you like listen to what he's saying to you, and if this is what it is, after, like, you pray about it for a bit, have that, like, constant, like, I would say, like, if you have a, like, not that great relationship with your parents, maybe start somewhere. It could be like something little where you, like, start doing, like, oh, or, like, oh, and then it's like, oh, and if they ever mention something about their work, be like, oh, how was that? Did something funny happen? Or, something little, like, it's just to, like, literally, I know these days, even with our parents, we do need to break that ice, so, like, break that ice, especially if, like, the conversations, like, clear that stuff out and start having those conversations. And then once you used to have that, like, good conversations with your parents, just be like, look, I've been thinking about this is something that I feel like I've been called to, which is what I did. Like I said, like, and when you bring Main G into it, they know that you're not actually just saying it for, like, jokes, what I mean? Like, you're actually serious about it, and I'm actually, like, discerning to do this, like, because it's not a little thing to do that, to give your year and give your any time, like, really. So once you do that, your parents will also be like, okay, what is like, like, so they'll also be like, oh, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is actually, it's not just a worldly thing, it's a divine, like, providence or a call. So, and then, like, what I would recommend, and there is some parents that are actually hesitant, which is fair enough, because
like I was going to say, right? Like, you're their child, like, especially, if, for example, I'm going to fourth year uni, if I was like, hey, I tell Ma, I want to, stop my uni for a year, I want to graduate later, like, obviously they have their own plan for you, type of thing. But
100%.
Obviously, like you were saying, if you make it clear that you were discerning this, it didn't come out just of nowhere. I guess, but as you were saying,
but, like, I think, like, with that as well, like, have further conversations, not just with you, like, just to be like, tell them, like, look, if you want to have, like, get a bit more idea on it, like, we can have the eparchies that help you, like, that's, Sodenjet, or, like, anyone in the eparchy can, like, in the youth apostolate, can have a talk with you and actually give you a bit of insight on what it is. And, like, I find that really helps, like, ease your worries a little bit, because like you'll be like, oh, either but sometimes, oh, actually that's not bad, it's not that big of a worry, it was just initial worry, and I think, like, having those conversations more often would really help with that. So
okay. And now, if you need, we have Annie here. If you need any help talking to your parents, Annie got you, so don't you worry. Okay, so that was your discernment process. So I guess something that's very normal is no journey, even if whether it's work, uni, nothing's going to be easy. It's not all going to be, rainbows and sprinkles or whatever. So I know, obviously, mission year, it's not easy, especially being the first ever missionary in our eparchy. So was there moments where you felt like, oh, like, is this for me? Like, can I do this? And obviously those thoughts are natural. And, when stressful times come, I don't know, was there any point where you nearly got to the breaking point, but, how are you able to kind of overcome it?
I remember this particular time actually from the Boys Come and See, which is the vocational discernment program, because I was helping out for that on the back end. So a lot of driving around, food, like dropping food off, helping them get a few things ready and things like that. Because there's no business for a woman to be there at a boys vocational discernment camp. So I was there, the back end, and one thing that's like a non-negotiable is Qurban every day, right? So I was like, okay, well, this is easy for him because it's time with him. He should be making do for that and time for that. So all of a sudden, I think one of those days where the come and see was happening, I was like asked if I could do something quite last minute, and that was fine. Like, because I was like, yeah, like, you know, I had a bit of thinking time, but that meant I couldn't go for Qurbana that morning or afternoon. And then so I was like, I remember I was so exhausted, like I was like really tired. I just wanted some mangy time, like, you know, spiritual hug kind of thing. And it was kind of like, oh, you know, this is all I want. It's not even like, I'm not even like asking like, oh, I want to go get $1 billion or like, you know, I just want to like, yeah, like none of that. I just wanted to like, just chill with you. And I remember that day I went for Qurbana and I didn't think I was going to make it because it was like, the place was in Upper Plenty. So it was like Amberley kind of thing. So like from there to where I live is in the west. So it's like an hour and a bit. And to get there, I was like, there's no way. And it's peak hour traffic and in the evening. And so it's quite bad, you know, Westgate and stuff like that. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it, you know? And then I was like, it, you know? Yeah. And that day I went there and it's like, there's no way I could actually get there. And I got there. It was almost like he cleared the way. Like it wasn't like something dramatic as like the opening of the Syro, like the, you know, the parting of the Syro, the any version, any version of it, like, you know. And it was so cool because like I got there and I actually got to go for Qurban, and like the passages, the readings, and like the everything was just talking, him giving me, one of my like love languages is words of affirmation, and it was like him giving me words of affirmation saying like, it's okay, keep going, you know, we got this kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And like there's this thing, like for me, it's a kind of weird personal thing, whenever I really need it, like you know, like Osti, like, so I say this whenever I feel like, you know, he feels like I need TLC, like tender loving care, he gives me like a broken part of the big OSD, not the main one. And somehow every single time whenever I need it, it's like that. And I'm like, okay, you're watching. So yeah, it was that as well. And it was just like really, like, I don't know, after I ended up going to my car and was like bawling a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. And it was kind of because I was very tired, you know? And it was kind of like, is it even worth it if I can't even spend time with you with Qurbana? Like, but then he said, you know what? You take care of mine, I take care of yours. So yeah, so that was quite hard, but made through, and here I am still. Yeah, and enough. I guess also like as well, obviously, I guess Christ keeps showing you as well, you know, like I said, and he says, mangy got you. Like whenever you feel like, you know, it's one of those days, he's got you, and he shows as well. And yeah. And you're like a living testament to it as well. And as well as that, I think he shows, you know, he's present through people. I know because you've got a, you know, huge support of people. Do you want to talk a little bit about your spiritual father as well? Yeah. I mean, like, see, for me, it's like just as Qurbana is really like I guess the center. I would almost say the center of my life is kind of like, because more than like the other side, it's just like I get to have the living presence of God in me, right? So like it's like that, except it's like to complement it, it's like confession. So I try to go like once a week, and so I go to my spiritual mentor, and he'd be like, okay, so like he'll like have like confession, and then at the end of it we'll talk, and we'd be like, you know, we'd be talking, and I remember that one of the first times when we started, he was like, you know, you're here for the long run. You're not here for the, you know, for a couple of months or a month or whatever. And then it was like a slap in my face. Yeah. It's like, you know, you're not Superwoman. And I was like, excuse me, maybe I am. You know? Get off your high horse. Yeah, basically. It was like, you need people to ground you. Yeah. And, you know, like,
Yeah.
we had a little, you know. So it was kind of like he was like saying like, you know, you need to pace yourself. Like it was like you need to make sure give you directions kind of thing. You need to have people that do that, because otherwise when you try to do it all on your own, and especially if you have the superwoman complex, which I feel like most people, not just women, have it, it's really good to like kind of ground you and pull you back to ground. Like, excuse me, you know. So yeah, so that was really good, and it was kind of like, okay, why do you say that? Like, and you know, he was like really giving you, you know, we need someone to be able to tell you straight to your face that if you're doing something wrong, like, you know, call you out on it and be like, because that's how you grow. No one's perfect. Everyone is imperfect in their own way. So you just grow from that kind of thing, you know? So yeah. And then, I mean, like I said, my two families, like my actual family, they've been really helpful, because I mean, I'm out a lot, or if I'm at home, which lockdown, it's always like
on the
like
laptop.
It's like Baba, oh, they call me Baba home. It's like Baba Niapra, like, you know, when you're coming out, it's like, I know, I'm like, you know, thinking, and then Amma will bring like I'm a special cup of coffee, and she'll bring it through, and she'll be like, I didn't even ask it. She'll just bring it, and you're like, I needed it. I really needed it. And it's like, you need to have that support group. And which is the one that carries you through. So, and yeah, my family, and then my national team and my West family kind of really like, whenever like, you know, like, oh, Annie, like, are you good? You need any help? We're here to help. So yeah.
Okay. That's so it shows that, you know, even when problems come, which we're not saying that, you know, once you join Missionary, it's going to be perfect, but when it does come, I think you show like, you know, you can get over it with the support and obviously your relationship with the Father. I guess kind of what you're talking about, I want to go back to how you're talking about, you know, your mom and your family. How did you kind of find the balance between mission life and then, you know, social life, family life? Because I know mission, especially, you know, mission month coming, it's very busy, kind of drags you to that end of it. But how do you make time to, you know, make time for your family? Because, you know, they've sacrificed for you in so many ways. You know, how do you kind of give back to them?
I'll be honest, you know, and I say no one's perfect, including me. It's something I did struggle for a long time, especially my superwoman wannabiness would be like, oh, no, I need to help this, I need to do that, like, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like my spiritual father, you know, he's saying like, you need to, like, your home is also a mission. And so Jatin was like sometimes that's what you need to do. Your home is your mission. So that's what you spend time with your family. And with my dad, you know, like taking him to like hospital and things like that, like it was really good, because like they made sure that was also a priority in the eparchy. Like, you know, that was, I could do both. So it was kind of like, I got to spend that time with them. I got to be there with them every day. And I think like, I guess Manji kind of planned it, because technically a missionary doesn't ever stay home or one place, but COVID and Manji planned it, and like, you know, it so happened that way. But it was also like, one of the key things was, especially towards the end, it's more helpful because I started taking it more seriously, was like day off. And because it's not really a 9-to-5 job, you know what I mean? It's not really like, oh, you clock off, you're done for the day and that's it, see you next week. No, it's every day, because it's like, and it's like giving yourself entirely to him. So he also gives himself entirely to you. So, you know, like on my days off, one of the things that people around me, everyone was like, you need to rest. That is also very much so part of the mission, because if there's no you to serve, there's no other Mishiha in my context, not like ever.
Just for this year.
Just for this year. But like, you know, like self-care is so important. And with that family, chilling with the family and stuff would be part of self-care. Because and it kind of, like, you know, having that open conversation helped as well with my family, because they knew sometimes that I would have to pick that over that, and then they were like, okay, understand, but after that you come. And I'm like, cool. So
so you get the best of both worlds.
That's it 100%.
So I guess, how do you feel, you know, like you've grown in the past year spiritually, and you know, because I feel like you're the Annie that was in 2020, what's different in 2021? How do you feel like you've grown in the past year?
Interesting question. One thing is definitely that I could not pray very well.
Yeah.
Like I remember when national team first started, I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
There was this one bit that was like, we were like, oh, before national team meetings, we're like, okay, we'll say a prayer together. And that day I was like, oh, Annie, you do the prayer. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, bet. And then they're like, we'll do the DMC. And I was like, DMC? Like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. And they're like, oh, Divine Mercy Chapter. Like that would ring a bell. And I was like, I still have no idea.
Like searching it up on it.
Hey, no, instead of searching, I'm shameless and like, so I was like, so guys, I really don't know what DMC is. And I think Mishu or someone, maybe you, send me the document of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. And even then I'm like, so how do you like say it? Like, do you say it like Eternal Father before or after? Or would you say intention somewhere there? Or, it was like a mess. But then it's like, throughout it was like, but that's the whole point of like, that he doesn't call he doesn't choose the capable. I think there's like
he doesn't call the
like it's like he equips the ones he calls, not the other way around. And I think like it's so much like so true, because I'm not someone who can like, I remember like at the beginning as well, they're like, oh, you have to say a prayer. And like everyone used to say it like well before. So I'd be like, okay. And then I'd be like, like, and then I'd be like, oh, what. But then it's like more and more that I was like growing in this throughout the year. It's kind of like Manji kind of said, like, let go. You're just talking to me. You're just talking to me, and like for all these people and yourself, like, and just let go of all that like preconceived ideas in your head that you don't need to be this perfect person. You just need to be you. You just need to say yes, and wherever you're at, I'll come there. I will equip you from there, you know. And it was kind of freeing, to be honest. And like in terms of DMC now, I can actually say it.
But yeah, no, I think like talking about that, I remember even for stuff like retreats at the start, you would, especially in our Victorian team as well, you tell me in Hanson, like, oh my gosh, a retreat coming up, I'm nervous. But then now it's kind of, I'm not saying that, you're, I mean, you are amazing, but I'm not saying,
no, I'm
like,
not.
I feel like the mission year has definitely, taught you a lot of things in the process. And you've just been given so many opportunities where you kind of put on the spot and, like, Annie, you're doing this. Okay, like, how do I prepare myself? And you kind of, I can feel like the formation in you as well. I think we can see the change in you as well.
But I think like more like also like, it's like it's like I lost my train of thought. Okay, we'll come back to that. I lost it. My bad. That's my bad, my peoples.
Okay, so you have so you feel like overall spiritually there is a big growth.
Look, like that's exactly what I was saying. So because like it's like, especially in a place where lockdown was a huge thing, Victoria, like it was almost like I was forced to, like, Manji was like, you gotta chill with me, or it's
but did you kind of take lockdown as, because I know I remember, because Annie loves traveling, and I always remember at the start you're like, oh yes, mission year can go to go to all these states and go international, but obviously lockdown happened and you were kind of pretty much locked down for most of your mission year. Did that kind of be like, oh, like this is my opportunity to evangelize publicly to everyone, but did that kind of change over time, or like were you kind of disheartened by the whole idea of mission year because there was a bit of a change, not what you were expecting? Or
I mean, yes and no. And it's kind of like it's so funny that you say that, because today I was talking to Anachin and he was kind of like, it gave everyone an opportunity. You can obviously like lament over it and be like, oh boo-hoo, like this happened, or you can actually be like, you know what, like this is what I have, let's do whatever we can with it. And one thing that, like, all these events or whatever, that's sure, it's important because it's like there to give someone spiritual nourishment or whatever, but it's more that one-on-one, like getting onto the grassroots level. And the good thing was, yes, it's not it's not as good as in real life, but you could still have those conversations with people.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing this year has helped is actually like my personal spiritual journey, because it actually the thing in lockdown, it was kind of like I was very curious. I'm a very curious person. So when it like triggered, I'm like, oh, I don't know this. Okay, cool. Let's look into that. Reading more like Bible and like spending a bit of time like with him, like at home. You know, like just putting some like you know beats, like mangy music on, and just chilling with him, like and just talking to him, like, yeah, today was a hard day, but like, you know, but it was busy, but it was good. But at least now I'm chilling with you, kind of thing, you know, and it really helps you grow and think about everything, like reflecting on your day as well. Yeah, so I think it's definitely not what I pictured mission year to be. So yeah, it was a bit disheartening at the beginning, but quite quickly he said, "That's okay.
Yeah,
we have other plans. That's fine. We jump back up." Yeah,
now you made it work. So.
We made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got one last question for me before we open it up to the rest of you guys. Why would you recommend taking up mission year to our youth?
Look, see, all the, like I said, the like events and all that glam side of things is just, that's not like the highlight for me. What I would say, like, you know, if you want to grow more, just like understand like him more and just feel that giddiness in your heart, like don't stop, you know, because there's a reason you're feeling this call towards it. So I think it's like a inner call, a call within a call, if you must, you know, that, you know, he's wanting you to do something else. So because this will just not like, it'll help you personally, it'll help your family and your people around you, because it's like, trust me, it is not me, it is not you, that is all the things that you do, it's not like anything personal. I'm not saying none of you guys are non-capable people, but it's just, there's instances in my life, I know in this last year, that last 10 months, that I can definitely say there's no way I would be able to do it without the main G. So, and that it just helps you ground that relationship, and it just, whatever it is in the future, there's nothing in this world that would you would lose by taking some time. And I read this thing the other day, or heard it, I don't know where, but it was like, you give him a day, he gives you two. You give him you know, a week, he gives you two. You give him a year, that's a lifetime back. And I was like, well, mangy, you know, that's already a year there. So, but you know, that you weren't like, I know it's time, like right now you think, oh, but this is a peak of my, you know, I just graduated, or it's just like a peak of my time, like the time, it's like the most like, you know, it's like the perfect timing to be doing all these other things. Sure, I'm not saying that it's not, like 100%, there's a lot of things, especially in this world, like, you know, like in terms of career and other aspirations, and 100% they're all important. But if you do this, if you actually say yes to missionary, like Manji will make sure there's other Kamela stuff that comes your way. And yeah, he's definitely done that for me. Like, you know, I'm really looking forward to, and also really nervous about like going back to the workplace.
Yeah.
And all that
It'll
kind
be
of stuff.
different.
It'll be so different, because it's like, I'm not the same person.
You're not going to be having, I don't know, like lunch with the bishop.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I'm still going to be going there, like, Bishop, but no, yeah, it definitely will be different. So he's been open to different, and yeah.
That sounds good. So anyone who's interested in taking up mission year, holler at your girl Annie K. She will help you out. But I guess that's all from me. Now we'll open it up to questions from you guys. Feel free to just comment on the Zoom comment box, or just even unmute your microphones and speak it out, and Annie will take all questions. So yeah.
I feel like we talked for a long time.
Yeah, we did. You can give us a break, and then you guys can ask the questions. And...
I mean, you know, any questions are welcome. I mean, if you feel uncomfortable to say it out, just type it out, and we'll be able to think it out. So,
see, Annie is earphoned in, ready to listen to your questions.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have something,
Okay, so I'll read out this question. What sort of things that you have you learned during your mission will you implement in your time post mission?
Cool. Okay. I mean, I think like, I don't think my body clock will be able to stop from supper in general, but it's like, I think one thing is definitely my love for my Syro-Malabarness is like something I learned and love, and it's something that I will continue to like search more and learn more. I can now half sing a Syrian song in the Syro-Malabar, right? So it's quite cool. And I think like, exploring more, there's so much more depth into all our, there's richness in those things, and kind of, like holding close to those things will be like something that I'm definitely interested in doing and will be doing. I think there is a question from, does that answer that question? Sorry, does that answer your question?
Hopefully it did. So we have, I think, Dip 2021 has raised a hand.
Annie, what do you think? What are the challenges you're going to face in future, being the first apostle of Christ for the eparchy?
Oh, sorry. 1 sec. Can you say that again?
Could you just repeat that one? Sorry, one more time.
Do you think, do you have some thoughts about your challenges which you may face in future, being the first apostle, of Christ for the eparchy?
Yep. In the future, especially, I mean, yes, 100%, because like it's like breaking barriers, right? Like you don't like, there's I mean, good thing for the people coming like after. It's like that one thing is like it's to like relieved a bit of pressure, but I think it's like there's a lot of like eyes on you being the first as well. But it's kind of like with those pressures, like it is a grace that he gives you. I mean, it's definitely a grace that he's given me through this year, because it was something, like I didn't necessarily know how to tackle some things. And when some people come and talk to me, randoms, when they come talk to me, I would be like, if I didn't know what divine mercy chaplet is, you can imagine what some of the things when they talk to me, I'd be like, oh, yes, I do not know what that is. And, actually saying like, I don't know, but I'll being open to knowing more about it, and actually saying, okay, I'll learn more about it. I'm open to learning more about it. And I think like when you're open to anything, when you let go of all those things, Manji or God would definitely let you have that grace to be able to like take on all those, like whatever comes your way. So being the first definitely has that like pressure to it, but it kind of also nice because you're kind of like paving the way. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. Anyone else have any other questions? Ivan James, what was your question?
Thanks. So Annie.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So for those people that are planning to start doing missionary or thinking about doing it in the future, what do you think are some active steps that they could take to start their journey, or to start their, I guess, getting prepared for this mission?
Yeah. Okay. So one thing is definitely to talk it out, like, to Manji, to us, to like, talk to me. I'm not that scary to talk to. So like, talk to me, like have a bit of like about your concerns, and like, because everyone has different kind of concerns and things like that, so like having that open chat about what they might be and things like that. But like, have a talk, but then also you kind of need to do some actions, right? So joining for supper, for example, it's 100% what I've been doing every day since it started for a few months now. So and I think 1 or 2 days when I didn't join, I was like, felt incomplete, you know. So like joining for Sapra or doing things like that is there, that's available, like Sapra, and like I pray if they like, you know, we have I pray every Thursday evening, like, you know, things like that, and coming to meet other youth and like kind of getting that feel of what it is about. Because like I said, the glamour side's great, but it's more that one-on-one, like, you know, some days when people that I have not necessarily talked that much to, and they come and talk to me, you just be like, why did they talk to me? Like what made them talk to me? And it's like, you realize that it's like, when you start saying yes, it's the grace that he gives. So you know, like once you start doing things, doing actions towards that goal or whatever that action is, he kind of lets other things fall into place. It's like a Greek gear, like the thing is in. So you know, talk, have those conversations with Main G, with prayer, and also with us. And the eparchy is 100% behind us, trust me. And like, it's not like, you know, like sometimes we have that feeling like, oh, you know, uncles and aunties might think that we're not necessarily, what we're doing is valid, or it's not the, like, you'd be surprised how many uncles and aunties have come to me like directly and be like, okay, like, you know, this is really cool that you're doing. And I'm like, you actually know that? Like, you know that this is, you know, this is happening. And it's like, yeah, and we do, and we appreciate that, like, because you're actually in a day and age where you know, we have the choice to do all these other things. You're actually taking that daring step to actually say, I want to do that for God. I want to actually spend that time for God. You'd be surprised how many people actually recognize and appreciate that. So yeah, so I would definitely say pray, talk, and do.
Awesome. Any other questions? If not, we can slowly wrap it up. But
Others.
let me just check.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. One thing is, what advice would you give to the next missionary for next year? So tips to survive.
Take your day off. Like, you know, like you are a superwoman or superman of God, 100%. But self-care is just as important as the mission that you do. So I think definitely make sure you give yourself that time to recover in whatever you do, and make sure you talk to people, just like to whoever they, you know, like, I'm not saying like, you know, thinking like, have those people next to you that can call you out if you do something that's not necessarily good for you or good for the mission or whatever. And, you know, be raw and don't be embarrassed or, you know, like, it's okay to not know everything. Like, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. So yeah. Yeah, so that's
Awesome. We've got like a parental side from a question from that side. So in your opinion, what can we as parents do to encourage our young people to be open to the missionary life? What do young people expect from us in terms of support as well?
okay. So this is to a parent, right?
Or
Okay.
from a parent.
From
yeah.
a parent, yeah. So look, I think one of the things that I'm always like these days thinking about is, you know, when we were kids, like, if some teacher or chatting at Palliu comes to my mom and be like, oh, Anina, you need to send Anne to this, and you're like, oh, no questions asked. I'm going to take this off. No questions asked. She'll be there. But nowadays it's kind of like, oh, like, you know, it was kind of that. It's good that you kind of you know, you kind of respecting them and their decisions to do that. But I think it's like sometimes as young people or teenagers, especially in COVID times, they don't know any better sometimes. So being able to, like, not pushing them, but actually like openly saying, like, you know what, like, because at the end of the day, everyone just wants to belong. So you just be like, look, there are other young people who are you know, like, who might have that same like identity as you, that is out there. So like, maybe just go to chill. Like, there's no pressure. It's not like a, you know, hostile situation where you're like, target achieved, like, you know, acquired, required.
Yep.
Whatever.
Move on.
But like, you know what I mean? It's not like like thing you want. It's just like, you go in there, nothing, no expectations, and just go in there with an open heart, like, and then just let them, like, encourage them to like do that more, and like take that pressure off them. And one of the things you said was, what do people expect, or the young people expect from us in terms of support, is like definitely conversation and no judgment, because these days it's like when there's a lot of restrictions on kids, they don't really think about, like, they don't really have a chance to, like, oh, and parents are I can't talk to my parents about that. So then they'll go somewhere else to have that conversation. And trust me, it's better to have the conversation in your home, at least in a trusting environment, than to maybe their peers who might not necessarily know much, but what they might know is like worldly things that might lead them astray. So being open and those conversations I can't stress it enough, is so vital. So yeah.
Awesome. I think we have one more question. So there may be things that you may have had strong beliefs about pre-mission, which have completely changed now. How do you tackle such challenges?
Okay, so that goes with the open mind, and actually saying, like, like, I'm not always correct. Like that, it shows, I guess, a certain amount of maturity to be able to say, like, yeah, I was wrong. Like, and that's something everyone, including me, struggle with a lot. And, like, how do you tackle those challenges? Is that you go in with the open mind, have those discussions. I think disagreements or questions is great. Like, I know some people always like, oh, dumb question, that's a dumb question or whatever. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And Bishop told me that because, like, with the kind of person I am, I had so many questions all the time. They're like, Bishop, like, why do we do this, or why do we do that? And like having those conversations, the likelihood of someone else having the same question is so high. And every time, like, because I have no like filter, I would be like, so why is this? And then people will be like, oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm like, wait, other people thought that same way. Like, and but when you go and have those discussions, especially if it's a controversial topic and things like that, make sure you go in with like an open mind. And because sometimes we go in with like an open heart, closed heart, that you'll be like, oh no, I don't care what you're saying, I'm right, you're wrong. But if you go in with an open heart and an open mind, you kind of be like, okay, that's interesting. Okay, but then you should never like, I would always say, hear people out, but you should never take them for the
whatever they say,
like it's like on the surface level. You need to like, okay, that's interesting, and then just go into it yourself, like do some research, and then you be like, okay, well, maybe I wasn't actually correct there, so that's fine. And then you learn more in terms of that. So yeah, so being open and being okay to admit that you're wrong is huge in that sense.
Alrighty. I don't think we have any other questions, but if you do, feel free to reach out to Annie Kay. She's always available to have a chat. But yeah, thank you, Annie, for joining with me today for Shed the Light with the Missionary. I hope also for everyone who joined, it was a very insightful session. I know even, I've been with you for the past year as well, but even just sitting here and talking to you, I've learned so much, and I hope you have too. And I hope for the people who are kind of on the fence about, saying yes to Missionary, hope this has pushed you off the fence into the, yes, I want to join side.
It's the leap, just take that leap.
That leap. As Annie said, take that leap. So yeah, once again, thank you for everyone for joining. And thank you, Annie. So, and Maria.
Oh, there was a, will this be on YouTube?
Oh, will this be on YouTube? Sorry. Before signing up. Yes, this has been recorded on Zoom and will be available on our Youth Apostolate YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. So if anyone who's missed out, please share, and everyone can watch it up soon. So yeah, I'm Anne Maria.
I'm Annie Kay.
And we are signing off.